Ladies and gentlemen, I want to send a very loud and clear message to agencies and employers in Asia as a whole. For those who are in charge of employing teachers, most especially foreigners who come to teach probably English language and other subjects related to their field of study. There's something I've observed for quite a while, which I want to make it so clear to everyone. There is this phenomenon of native speakers and non-native speakers. I must be frank to you. Whosoever propagated this idea did it so that there is an artificial boundary, there is a barrier to others who are coming from other parts of the world from getting jobs. Why am I saying this? Look at it. Now, many people live from America, from Britain, from Europe as a whole. They get here as tourists, most especially in Thailand. They come as tourists, and when they run short of money, the best thing to do is to go to the classroom as a teacher. And unfortunately, most of them are not professional teachers. But what happens? Agencies will reject a professional teacher, well-trained and experienced teacher, and go in for a tourist who just coincidentally found himself in class because he is in need of flight money to return to his country. And you do this just because you brand or you call them native speakers and you call the others non-native speakers. This is something unheard of in the field of education. Education does not have national, nor geographical, nor even color boundaries. No. Education is knowledge. Whether you're an African, you're an Asian, you're an American, or you're from Europe, one thing is certain. As a teacher, your role is to pass out knowledge to the students. Now, when you talk of native speakers only, for jobs, you have job opportunities and you're advertising and you insist on the fact that you only want native speakers, that is those from America, from Britain and other parts of Europe. Let me ask you this question. If, for example, I am a certified teacher, professional teacher, I have high score in TOEIC, I have other professional certificates for English teaching as a foreign language or a first language, I have a master's degree, and I have more than 4 years experience, but I'm not a native speaker. Then there is this guy who just came in from nowhere, and you haven't seen his credentials, you haven't seen his qualifications, his academic background, but because of the fact that he speaks like he's an American, and you think he has an accent which belongs to an American, so preferably he's the best teacher over myself with all those credentials. What are you doing to your kids, your students? Are you actually out to give them knowledge, or you are out to satisfy your ego? Because there's a difference between getting knowledge and being satisfied of having someone who belongs to a particular nationality. I have been doing a serious campaign against this, and I will continue, because this is just a polite form of racism. These are some of the aspects that I stand out to condemn in its entirety. It is wrong. Employ a teacher based on, first, his academic background, his academic qualification. Secondly, his professional skills, how he is able to deliver knowledge to the students. You need to put him through a test, do a demonstration, be convinced, let him be able to convince you that these students will be able to acquire knowledge from him. Employ a teacher based on his experience. A teacher that has been teaching for more than 2-3 years has mastery of his subject, more than someone you just pick up from the roadside and you send to the classroom because he is a native speaker. That is so wrong. If we want to get the best educational qualities, we must input those human resources that will accurately satisfy the needs and demands of our educational system. This falls far beyond ethnicity, far beyond nationality, far beyond accent. Your accent doesn't really matter. What matters is your ability to impact knowledge on the students. Your ability to bring to the base the subject in such a way that the least learning students in class can understand what you're saying. What is the essence of hiring a native speaker, as you call it? You pay a native speaker double, someone who doesn't even have the qualification, someone who is not even a teacher by profession. You pay him double just because he's white skinned, just because he speaks English fluently, or maybe because of the way he speaks, his appearances. But yet, your students do not acquire the necessary knowledge they deserve. Go in for teachers who are qualified. Go in for teachers with experience. Go in for teachers with output. That is what is required for learning. Think about how much you spend on paying a particular set of people because you think they are better than others. And yet, the other set, those you call non-native speakers, like Filipinos and Africans and others, they are doing the job just so well and accurate. But yet, those earning higher salaries and better living conditions are not those doing the job. So these are things we must be able to compromise for us to attain good results. We must do the right thing. So these agencies that keep advertising jobs and keep saying we need just native speakers, it is very, very wrong. In the educational milieu, there's nothing like a native speaker. If you are a good teacher in mathematics, you are good in maths. Whether you're American, whether you're an African, whether you're Filipino or whosoever, you are good in maths. If you're a good science teacher, you are good in science. If you're a good computer teacher, you are good in computer. There's nothing like native and non-native speaker. Those things are racist tendencies that should be eliminated. It is unfair to think that some people are native speakers, some are not native speakers. Let me ask you a question. The English we use today in teaching, the English we use today in communicating, where does it come from? Are these words not found in the dictionary? Is it not the same dictionary someone in the US uses? Is it not the same vocabulary they use, the same grammar, the same speech, the same words? What is education there for? Isn't it knowledge? We must think about these things. What about those non-native speakers who studied throughout their lives in Europe and America and obtained their degrees, their certificates, their PhDs from out there. So how do you call them? Native speakers? Come on, we must stop this. This is 21st century. This is a century in which we are enlightened. We shouldn't keep living in the dark. Whosoever brought, I know that this idea probably came up from those benefiting from it today. They branded themselves native speakers and branded others non-native speakers just to exploit employment opportunities and benefits to themselves. But I tell you, this is wrong. We have to stop this at all costs. What we need is knowledge, to transmit knowledge to our students. What we need is to upgrade the educational standard wherever we are. Our duty, our responsibility is to ensure that we properly give to the students the knowledge they require to use in their job life, not only in the classroom. Out of the classroom, the students should be able to use the English we're teaching them, to use the mathematics, the science we're giving them, and apply in other social life or extracurricular activities. It's not only about the classroom. So these are things we must take serious. It is bizarre, it is bad to think that a particular group of people, because they come from Europe, because they come from America. I know many Americans who cannot make a sentence in English. I mean a constructive sentence in English. I know many Americans who cannot write their names properly. Does that make that American a more educated someone over another person who is not from America? I don't think so. So these are things we must take serious. We must consider. And stop branding some people non-native speakers. That is a very, very unethical, uncivilized manner in assessing quality professionals in the field of education. Never you use color or nationality to determine a good teacher. It doesn't. There are many ways to test and know who can do the job better, but not through color of the skin or the nationality. Because someone presents an American passport, automatically he's a very good teacher. No, it doesn't happen that way. Do you know there are Cameroonians who teach Americans in America? Do you know there are Filipinos who teach Americans in America? Do you know there are other countries, you brand them non-native speakers, who have PhD, who are doctors, who are professors in Cambridge, Oxford universities, in the UK and America? These are things you must look into before you conclude on this issue of native and non-native speakers. When I look at job opportunities and I keep seeing native and non-native speakers, I just get off them because it doesn't make sense to me. And I see most of those who actually brand themselves native speakers boasting about it, that they deserve better pay, they deserve better working conditions, and they deserve to teach in the best schools. Why non-native speakers should be part-time and should just, that is too bad. And that alone defeats your very level of education. Someone who reasons and thinks like that, already it classifies where you belong in the field of education. An intellectual will never reason that way. An intellectual will take a teacher to the classroom, show him the board, sit down, and give him a topic to teach. He sits with the students and listens to that teacher. That is how you test a teacher. It's not the color of your passport. It's not the way you speak. So please, employers and agencies in Asia as a whole, take this message serious and look into it critically. Do not undermine the strength of a teacher because of the color of his skin or his nationality. No. You are losing a lot of teachers out of this blunder. It's a big mistake you're making, because those who come here, those who come as tourists, and when they run short of money, they pick up their passports and go to the classroom as teachers. You pay them higher salaries. At the end of the day, those students, your students, remain the same, with the same knowledge, and they don't care. But you keep aside full trained teachers who are actually here probably because their governments are not capable enough to pay them desirable salaries. They choose to move out to search for better jobs, but don't take them as bad teachers. Thank you so much.